one of the most, for me, vital aspect of the scholarship beyond the financial part of it is having been able to connect with students, like-minded students, and also having mentorship, and also being able to have a network and gain the skills and knowledge to make me more confident in my journey and process as an undergrad student, and then now as a graduate scholar. And then, of course, beyond that, the Jack and Cook Foundation helps you in multiple ways, whether it's funding the GRE test for you or MCAT or whatever exam that you need to take for graduate school. The foundation is there to help you get what you need in terms of tutoring and just any sort of specialization, perhaps, you know. And so now, some of the experiences and opportunities that the Jack and Cook Foundation offers include personalized advising. So what that looks like is helping you transition from community college into the university setting. I know that it can be tough when you are at a junior college and then now you're going to this big school, you don't know how to navigate the system. And what's so beautiful is that the foundation has someone there to help you. So I had a advisor, Jennifer Krasovsky, and she was phenomenal, just wonderful, very, very supportive. And since my first semester, when I entered Columbia, she made sure I was on track. I had my plan out, and that I had a good support system, not only within the foundation, but also at Columbia. So connecting you with other scholars and professors. So it's really, truly wonderful. And the financial support, of course, so you receive up to $55,000 for 2 to 3 years. I spent 2.5 years at Columbia. And so during my first semester, Jennifer and I, we set up a plan as to how many courses I would need each semester, and then also making sure that I was able to complete my degree in a timely fashion. And the scholar community. So once you receive the scholarship, we do have an event called Scholars Weekend. And I think last year's and this year's was virtual. I'm sure probably Tyra can speak to that when she's up. And so when I did it, it was in person. And of course, it's not going to be the same virtually, but you know, the experience in person is so wonderful. And you get to meet a lot of brilliant minds and scholars who just want to achieve and think big like yourself. And then of course the Cook Graduate Scholarship, which is what I currently have. And you're eligible to apply for up to $150,000 a year. And I do want to mention something about that. So you're not really, when you apply, you're not applying against other scholars because this scholarship is only for current Jack and Cook scholars. So you're not applying against your Cook peers. You're actually applying against your own record. So they just want to make sure that you have a path that's very clear and that you understand what you want to do. And not only that, that you've maintained a great GPA throughout your undergraduate years, and basically that you reap the benefits of what they had to offer. So I talked a bit about the educational advising, and here I can detail a little bit more. So what that looks like is regular check-ins. And I remember Jennifer, she would come by, you know, every other month to Columbia to see the scholars that she was working with, and, you know, campus visits, we would have lunch, dinner, whatever it was. And it was great just to be able to talk to her about what was going on, what I was looking for when it came to the future, what my next steps were, and just receiving her support. And helping scholars connect to mentors, internships, and fellowship opportunities. And that was something I talked to Jennifer about during my first semester. I made it known that I wanted to enter librarianship and to have opportunities, especially here in New York City, where we have a robust library and museum system. So being able to intern or work at the Morgan Library, or for Columbia's Rare Book and Manuscript Library, which I was able to do. And so the foundation, they really provide what you need when it comes to your goals, your dreams, and your vision. All you have to do is let them know what you want for yourself, and they can help you. And as I had mentioned prior, so creating an academic support plan. And so they understand at times It's not going to be set in stone. You know, some people will change things, and they're completely okay with that as long as you communicate that with them and they can see that you're moving towards what you want to do. So that's just important to communicate. And like I said, honestly, I don't think there are enough words in the dictionary to describe how phenomenal and just incredibly supportive this foundation is. And then we have an active scholars network. And as I had mentioned, when you go to the Scholars Weekend, that's when you first get to meet other scholars like yourself, not just within the year that you received the scholarship, but also from prior years. They bring in alumni and people from all over the globe to speak to us, whether they're entrepreneurs, professors, people who are in the medical field, in the tech field. It's just, Cook Scholars are all over the world doing wonderful, great things. And so that's, as I had mentioned before, for me, that was one of the most vital, most pivotal part of having been a Cook Scholar, or I'm still currently a Cook Scholar, but just being able to connect with other people who had dreams like myself and were working towards their dreams and, you know, accomplishing great things. So the continued support is the graduate school funding, as I had mentioned, and the Cook Foundation understands that sometimes you need more than just that bachelor's depending on your career path. So if you want to become a doctor, obviously you need to get an MD. If you want to become a lawyer, a JD. So they completely understand that. And for myself, I'm currently at USC, as Beverly mentioned, and I'm studying library and information science. And so you require a library degree, a master's, in order to work as a librarian. And as I had said before, when I spoke to Jennifer during my first semester and told her how interested I was in librarianship. So since the beginning, you know, when I started out with the foundation, I kind of already knew what I wanted, and they were on that path with me, so to speak. So now let's discuss eligibility. So no previous enrollment for a semester or more at a four-year institution. And you must have sophomore status by January 1st, 2022 at a two-year college, or you can be a recent graduate. So since spring 2017 or later. So anything before that, you wouldn't be eligible. And have the intent to enroll in a four-year college in the fall of next year, 2022. And you must have an unweighted GPA of 3.5 or above, and of course, demonstrate unmet financial need. So the selection criteria. So I'll go over each one individually. So we have academic achievement, persistence, leadership, and financial need. All right, so for academic achievement, so I think it's pretty clear, making sure that you have a 3.5 or above. And I do know, you know, sometimes we have semesters or quarters where we're not doing so well. And if you want to explain that in your application, that's completely okay. And I encourage that so they can see, okay, so let's say maybe one semester you received, you know, 2 C's or D's or F's or whatnot. Don't think that it's going to completely put you away from receiving the scholarship. Just explain. And perhaps you were going through medical issues or a death in the family, whatever it is, make sure you just explain it. And part of what I love, one of the many things I love about the Jack and Cook Foundation is they really hone in on this idea of being resilient. And even though if you go through many trials and tribulations, what they want to see is you coming out of that. What have you done for yourself? And so I think that actually goes hand in hand with the next one here, which is persistence. And they want to see that even though maybe life has pummeled you or you've experienced great adversity, that you continued and that you didn't allow that to define you. And there's something I like to say, which is don't let life happen to you, happen to life. So meaning you take the reins and you take control of your destiny, your fate. And also now leadership. So they want to see, have you been a leader in your community? And that doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have some high lofty position. Just, you know, taking advantage of opportunities in your community where you can help guide people. And leadership can be simply as starting, you know, small projects that assist a small portion or population within your community or region. So whatever leadership is for you, I would strongly encourage you to really define that for yourself, especially in your personal statement. And then, of course, the financial need. And usually that looks like you submitting your financial documents and so forth. So taxes and whatnot. So now I know that the foundation is using the Common App. When it was my year, we did not use the Common App. They had their own system on their website that I had to submit to, but I've kind of familiarized myself so I could present to you all regarding the Common App. I'm sure Tyra probably has used it, so she probably can speak a bit more to that experience. So you have various components to the Common application. And what's so lovely about it too, because I know the Common App is used for universities. So I know Columbia uses it, USC, Harvard, University of Florida, all major schools use the Common App. So then it's really just one place where you submit your university applications and now the Jack Can Cook application, which is exactly why they did this, to make it easier for you. So you have your finances. So that is completely self-reported as you initially, and then they want to verify what you've said. And then 2 recommendation letters. And I've been told that they have to be academic recommendation letters, although I've had people ask me about club advisors. So I would say if you have a club advisor who is also a professor of yours or knows you academically, then you can use them. Because for me, when I submitted one of my recommendation letters, she was a club advisor I had, but she also taught me. So she knew me both as a extracurricular student, but then also as a scholar, as an academic student. And now your activities and honors. And so I always like to say, in terms of activities, it's, for me, quality over quantity. So don't list activities for the sake of listing activities, or just be truthful to who you are. So meaning, what defines you? What sorts of things have you done in your community that really speaks to who you are as a person? And that's why I say quality over quantity. They don't care about you doing 20, 30 different things. No, but does it have meaning and purpose for you? That's very, very important. And I'll just give an example, because when I submitted my application, my whole thing was women, women empowerment, and it still is. And so I focused on the women-centered, women-oriented activities that I did, whether it was starting a group or a club, or the conferences I had gone to or had facilitated. So that was because these things mattered to me. And I knew that's what I was working towards, was this idea of empowering women, but most importantly, women of color. And then your honors. So if you have any honors, whatever they may be, if you find value in those honors that you received, please, please put them on your application. And now your family household info. So that's very basic and straightforward. And then the writing portion. So you'll have your personal statement where you tell your story. And one thing I will say about the personal statement, don't use it, because you already, like we had just talked about, the activities and honor section. So we already have that section. So don't use your personal statement to list off all your activities and your honors. This is a time for you to talk about you and your struggles and what you envision for your life. This is when you want to show them why you're applying and what you aspire to be. So there's this saying that one of the deans at Columbia has told me, and I love it, which is, you are not, so in the present moment, you are yourself, but then you're also the person you aspire to be. So think of it that way when you're writing your paper. Think of it as, okay, I am who I am, and I can harken back to the past, talk about my past, but then going straight to the future and what I envision for myself and where I am going. So always see where you are going rather than where you were before and where you are currently, especially when it comes to such important fellowships and scholarships like this. Now, and then plans for area of study. So if you want to study African-American history or physics, this is where you would indicate that. And don't worry about the foundation holding you to it, because they know we're young and we're exploring things. And so don't think that, okay, well, if I told them I want to study English and comparative literature, I have to stick to that. No, absolutely not. So if you do receive the scholarship, which I would love for everyone to receive it, then, and you decide that you want to change from literature to physics, that's absolutely okay. They just want to make sure that you'll be able to finish in time within the 3 years that they give you for this new pursuit that you have. So now, if you need additional help regarding the Common App, these are some resources. So this is a website here, and I can send this PowerPoint to Beverly, and then she can forward it to all the people who've attended today. And then questions about the program specifically and your eligibility should all go to the Jack and Cook Foundation. And so you have scholarships at jkcf.org. So just shoot them an email. They'll answer. They're very prompt and about any questions that you have. And so I think it's best if there are no such things as stupid questions. I really do believe that, no such thing as that. If you really have this question that needs to be answered, you don't know if you'd be eligible, it's best you just send them an email. And so here are some key dates. So of course, the application has already opened and it closes on January 10, 2022. So please put that on your Google calendars, your little manual calendar, wherever. Just write it everywhere to make sure that you do not miss the deadline, because I would love for all of you to apply to this. And then the semifinalists are announced in February. And then after the recipients, they send you an email or they give you a call in April. The timeline from when I had first applied has changed quite a bit, but I'm just happy that things are a bit faster, because I remember my wait time was 6 months before I actually heard back from the foundation. So it's nice to see that things are much faster now. So now I'm going to hand it over to Tyra, who can speak about her experience as a new Jack and Cook scholar and give you some tidbits as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Bernice. I have a presentation also, so I'm going to share my screen. Okay, cool. So, hi everyone, my name is Tyra Cobbs. I just graduated from LMC this past spring semester. There, I was double majoring in psychology and African American studies. I was a part of Umoja, Honors, EOPS. I also worked as a student ambassador, a Umoja ambassador, a library assistant, a psychology tutor, and outreach ambassador. I also graduated with the Kennedy King Scholarship. So as you can see on the screen and in Beverly and Bernice's introduction, I got Jack and Cook. I thought it would be helpful to kind of talk about my own experiences, because I was in you guys' position just a year ago, and now I'm kind of helping out. So I am new, so I still don't have like a very in-depth like experience of Jack and Cook. But over the summer, I attended Cook Scholars Weekend, and it was like my first introduction to the scholarship program. It was amazing just to see how passionate the people who work for Jack and Cook are, and how they really want us to succeed in higher education. And that's really important for me as a first generation, low income and independent student. So the scholarship program is definitely very supportive. Also, I got the opportunity to meet other students like myself who are underrepresented and may not think that they can succeed, but we're here and like we got the scholarship and we're going to university. I also have a very supporting educational advisor. When I first met her, I talked on the phone with her for like 2 hours, and we didn't even really talk about academics for the most time. We were talking about like yoga and podcasts. So it's really just an amazing experience to meet people who genuinely like care about us and aren't just shallow in their communications and connections with us. And also the more social piece, there are group meets for Jack and Cook scholars. So I have a general chat for Jack and Cook's scholars that got accepted this year. And then there's also like a group chat for all of us who are at UCLA. So I feel very connected, and I'm just meeting people all the time. So all the tips that I'm going to provide today, I think these are the most important things that I was considering as I was applying. So filling out the Common App activities and the awards, asking for letters of recommendations, actually getting started, because it kind of took me a long time and I was procrastinating. And then also the interview process, because it can be very nerve-wracking when you have to talk to someone and you don't know what to say, because it kind of it's very nerve-wracking. It was for me. So yes. And then at the end, I think we're going to go into a Q&A. So if I skip over anything that you guys think is important, you could just ask me there. Okay, so when I was filling out my Common App activities, I felt that it was important that I start on that part early. There are a couple of sections that you can like fill out before you turn in your responses to the questions and also your letter of recs. So I'd actually start doing that now. It asks you like the common questions like where were you born, like your tax information, things about yourself. Um, and then there's also a big section for the activities and the awards. I would say don't feel obligated to fill up all the slots, like Bernice was saying, like don't put something random if you want to become a doctor in the future and then you put something about like feminist studies. Like I don't know if that's really relevant. So I would only put the relevant activities that you think have contributed to yourself as a scholar and can contribute to your career goals in the future. So write about the activities that you're most passionate about and that you think your letter of recommenders might expand on, because that's also something that I thought was important because it kind of goes hand in hand. Um, Next, the the letter of recommendations. I would ask ahead of time because the professor at LMC, sometimes they can be very busy. And so you don't want to have to not submit an application because one of your letter of recommendations didn't come through in time. So I would start asking for those as soon as possible and provide your professors or whoever you're going to ask a resume or info sheet about yourself. Oftentimes they're dealing with different people, so they don't remember like the things that make us kind of stand out. And so if you want something to be discussed in your letter of recommendation, I would write that down. And then also remind your recommenders of the dates and deadlines, because again, like sometimes they forget they're also dealing with stuff outside of this. So just remind them of the dates and then just frequently like touch bases with them on the recommendation letters. Also, this is like a tip that I've heard frequently at LMC is like um, ask for letters from people who know you well. And if they can pick your application from the floor and know that it's you, then they're probably a great person to ask for a letter of recommendation. I don't think it would be smart to ask like a random professor who only met you once and like you didn't go to office hours or something. I got my recommendation letters from my Umoja advisor and then also one of my professors from one of my Umoja classes. Okay, so getting started, I I procrastinated, so I would say like don't procrastinate. I didn't put that on here. It was very stressful. So just begin by free writing the prompts. It doesn't have to be perfect the first time you write it out. I would just say express your ideas as much as you can, and it doesn't matter if you go over the word limit as long as you're writing something down. Something that also helped me was watching like videos of people who were also applying to scholarships. So I just went on YouTube and I just watched a bunch of videos of other people and like there's a lot of videos on scholarship tips. So I watched a bunch of those. And I also watched a lot of the videos from the Jack Kent Cook YouTube. There's a lot of information there just about the scholarship in general. So you'll find a presentation like Bernice's, and there's also videos of current scholars talking about their experiences. And so those videos help me the most in the prompt where it talks about where you can contribute to the community at Jack Kent Cook. So I definitely recommend like watching those and taking notes on those. Um, Also take your time. Please don't rush. This is a very exciting opportunity. It's also very prestigious and it's competitive. So just take your time and make sure you're not rushing on your responses. And also write multiple drafts. Don't just turn in your first draft because you can definitely make it stronger as you like progress through your writing and get feedback from people. And so that leads into the next bullet point is to ask people that you trust to look over your responses. I asked so many like professors and faculty members at LMC to look over my application to make sure like my ideas were being conveyed in the way that I wanted it to. So I would also reach out to the scholarship department at LMC. I'm not sure if Beverly's going to be in that department now, but I would ask them as well. When Tammy was in her role, I asked her to look over my application just to make sure it was strong. Um, this is the most important one, at least for me. Like keep the Jack Kent Cook motto in mind because I think that's what they're going to be looking for when they review your application. So as I was writing, I literally was just thinking of how I can express the motto, but in terms of my life and how I can show them like that I belong in the Jack Kent Cook community. And also I think four themes or like four words that I would use there on my application are resiliency, leadership, personal growth, and philanthropy. Um, Definitely personal growth. I talked a lot about how my personal experiences in the past have contributed to who I am now and who I see myself as in the future. Okay, so the interview process, I think I was overthinking it a bit. It was actually a very calm and like relaxing process. I wasn't nervous the whole time that I was doing the actual interview, but before leading up, it was terrible. I really thought I was going to say something wrong and it was just going to ruin my whole application. But I would say go to the LMC workshops. I remember when I was applying, there was an interviewing workshop just for all the scholarships, not just Jack Can Cook. And we went over like specific tips of how to interview and like things to include. So I would say as many of those as you can. And then also practice in the mirror. I practice all the time, just like asking myself random questions. I looked up scholarship interview questions on Google and kind of thought of how I would respond to those questions if I were asked them. I also had my recommenders and people who looked over my application practice with me because they've been in interviews like this before, so they know what people have asked them, and it kind of helps me. And this one's better said than done, but don't be nervous. It's really like a conversation with the interviewer. So I had Bernice's educational advisor as my interview, and she was very lovely. We just had a conversation about me and my academic goals and how I see my community college experience contributing to Jack Kent Cooke and the university. So those are the tips that I have for you. I hope it helped. That was something I wish I would have known like before when I was applying. And I just wish you all the best of luck. And I hope that some of you get the Jack Kent Cooke Scholarship. And then I put my email on here. If anyone wants me to look over applications or have any questions, you can just email me.
All right. Thank you to you both. That was great information. Does anybody have any questions? We're going to go ahead and open up for questions. And then I also want to let you know that if you're uncomfortable sharing here, that's okay. Like Tyra mentioned, you can contact her or myself. I am currently in the scholarship office. And we are hoping to schedule workshops within the next few weeks. So to view those, they will be on the scholarship website. So the same place where you went to register for this event, it will be updated in the coming weeks with information regarding workshops. And those will be workshops to answer general questions you may have about the scholarship process, or if you need assistance writing the essay, we will likely have those available for you as well. I will go ahead and ask if anyone has any questions at this point, or if Tyra, Bernice, if you have anything to add. Hi, Paulette, if you don't mind, you can go ahead and unmute and ask your question.
Hi. First of all, I'm really proud of you guys. That's really cool, and it's very inspiring to hear other people's stories. But I did enroll into the University of Nevada for about 2 weeks. I was getting some scholarships, and I thought I was going to be staying there for the whole semester. I was enrolled in 2 weeks, so I don't know if that disqualifies me. I couldn't pay for the whole semester, and one of my scholarships got canceled, so it just delayed everything. Does that disqualify me, or would it have to be a full semester?
No, it doesn't disqualify you. So because it was only 2 weeks, you didn't spend an entire semester there. So you can still apply for the Jack Kent Cooke Foundation.
Oh, okay. And also I am an undocumented student, so I don't know if that also holds me back.
No, because we have several undocumented Jack Kent Cooke scholars, so you don't have to worry about that either.
All right, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Great questions, thank you. Anyone else? You guys may have seen the flyers and the post for this event going around campus, so feel free to share it with anyone who may benefit from a $55,000 scholarship. And, we're happy to assist with any questions or
I
provide
actually
help
had
for
a
the application.
question.
Yeah, go ahead. Thank you.
So we apply through the Common App?
Yes,
Okay, and that includes all the schools too, right?
exactly. Yes,
Okay, thank you. Just wanted to clarify.
of course.
Great question. Yeah, if you're looking at any of the flyers or anywhere we've posted about the scholarship, the link goes directly to the Jack Kent Cook webpage, and you'll apply directly there. If you are on the LMC scholarship website, you'll see the posting for the scholarship there, but when you click the link, it will still take you directly to the Jack Kent Cook website. So you'll be applying directly through them.
I would put my email in the chat, but I don't see a chat option. Unfortunately, there's no chat option. So I'll just, share it with you all. It's ls3525@columbia.edu. And then I'll also send my email, that particular email address to Beverly, and then she can share it with anyone who's interested.
Thank you, Bernice. Yeah, I'm not quite sure where the chat went. Can you repeat that just one more time, just for anyone who needs to grab a pen?
Yes. So it's ls3525@columbia.edu.
And of course, any of you are welcome to reach out to me if you don't have that information or if you don't have it handy, and I could get you in touch with one of the two scholars. Yeah. Did you have anything else to add regarding your experiences or the scholarship itself?
I had one more question. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. No worries.
I'm sorry, I may mispronounce your name. Bernice, right? Yes. So what you said about you're not competing against other scholars, but you're competing against your record. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yes, so that's for the graduate scholarship. And so because the graduate scholarship is only offered to internal scholars, so other people outside of the foundation can apply for it. And really, when you're applying, it's not, you're not going, it's as though, let's say if Tyra and I were both applying at the same time, it's not like they're going to look at her work versus mine, like most scholarships do, right? It's really, were you successful at your undergrad institution? Do you have a clear plan about what you want to do with your life? Because, they're investing all this money into you. So they want to make sure when they had first given you the funds for your undergrad, that you're going to still continue to do wonderful things. Because pretty much, I think, I would say they award it to almost everyone that applies for it, as long as you have a good record and you've been on track with what you've wanted to do and you show passion for what you want to do as well. Yeah.
And as for the initial process, sorry, last question. As for the initial process, how is that selection process? Are they looking at like different application? Well, yeah, they are, but like, are they like comparing, like putting other students over you based on their work and passion as well?
Well, I don't think that's how, because they don't necessarily make us privy to the full scope of how they select students, but and that's why they have those criteria, right? Academic achievement, of course, there's the financial need, and then persistence and leadership. So I think it's just a matter of making sure that you fit what their idea of a Cook Scholar is. Because I would say every foundation that offers these sorts of major scholarships, they have an idea of what they want their scholars to look like. And so that's why I had emphasized this idea of persistence and resilience, because that's something I've seen in all the scholars I've met, is that we all have this story, and you don't need, because I've had other people, prospective applicants ask me, well, I don't think I'm interesting. I think my story is boring. And it's not a matter of, I don't think anyone has a boring story, right? And it's very relative, honestly, and extremely subjective. And so what they want to see is, what have you made? What's that saying? making lemonade, right? Like using, exactly, I think you know what I'm trying to say. And so that's what they want to see. People who, despite, you know, the fact that they've had great adversity, maybe life has brought them down, or maybe you may not necessarily had a lot of adversity, but you've been able to help other people who've had great adversity. And I think that's where leadership comes in. Then they want to see that. And I think that's really, I would say, their main selection criteria is seeing that people are willing to be consistent and continue in life.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think Gladys, you had a question?
Yes, I had a question. So I'm not applying because it's my first year here at LMC, but I still wanted to learn about how the process would be, just so I could be prepared in the future. Is this every year, like for students who transfer? This scholarship, is it available every year?
Yes, every single year they offer it. The Jack and Cook Foundation has been doing this since the year of 2000. And so every single year they offer it, so you don't have to worry about, you know, it not being offered next year or the year after.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to know.
Yes, of course. You're welcome, Gladys.
I'm sure Bernice and Tyra could speak more to this, but you know, I'm glad that you joined the event today, especially since you are a new student. And I think the fact that you're aware of this opportunity is great for you, because you'll be able to kind of set yourself up to eventually apply for that once you're ready to transfer. So it's good to think about, you know, things right now, such as, you know, your GPA, the connections that you make, the clubs that you join, the people that you meet. A lot of people come to school and they, you know, they put their head down and they do their classes, and academically they're doing great. And that's totally fine. But there's a lot of other opportunities for you to explore within the campus. And, you know, and it shows that those opportunities could lead to eligibility for something like the Jack Kent Cook Scholarship, which is amazing. So yeah, get to know people while you're here, join clubs that you're interested in, and events that you find passion with, and I think it'll go a long way for you. But yeah, now's a good time to ask all the questions and, you know, make those connections. So thanks for coming.
And if I may, because that reminds me, you know, what you've just said, Beverly, and then also Gladys's question. So I actually knew about the Jack Kent Cook Foundation when I was 17, 18 years old. And it was simply, so they used to offer this scholarship. They no longer offer it, but it was part of their graduate program where people outside of the foundation could apply. It was specifically for people in the arts. I think they ended that several years ago. So they only, I think, extended it for 8 years, and then they ended it so they could offer more funding to their internal scholars. And I remember because there were like, I believe they had connections to like the Guggenheim and other major museums and things like that. So I was very interested in that because I, you know, viewed myself as a writer at the time, and I still am. And so I told myself, okay, one day I'm going to apply for this. And I didn't know they offered an undergraduate transfer scholarship until one day I was taking, you know, this class somewhere, you know, for fun. And this was when I was 18, 19. And I had seen this flyer for the Jack Kent Cook Foundation saying they had an undergraduate transfer scholarship. And at that particular college, they were going to have a session, an in-person session. And I was thinking to myself, oh my gosh, I know that, you know, this foundation. And so I said, okay, I'm not ready yet to actually transfer because I wasn't really enrolled in school. And so I said, when I do become enrolled and enter junior college, that was going to be on my radar. And so it was not until maybe 4 years later I applied. And I remembered when I started my application for Columbia and other universities, and I was asking myself, well, how am I going to pay for this? Because these schools are so expensive. And then it came back to me. And I was like, oh my gosh, let me see if they still have the scholarship. So that clicked in my head. I said, okay. So I looked them up and they were still offering it, and even more money than what they were offering before. And I was so excited. And I said, okay, I have to apply to this. So it's always good to start early, I believe. To just plan things out, make a list of what you want to do with your life and how you think you'll get there. And that's something that I had done. And sometimes, you forget about these things and you put it in the back of your head, and somehow some sort of miracle happens where it comes back to the forefront. So it's always good to, start early and have a plan. And it may not work out the way you wanted it to, but somehow you'll get to where you need to be. That's what I believe.
Just piggybacking off of that, you're going to document and be aware of all the positive things that happened during your experience here. But if there are any low points or any points of adversity that you have to overcome, write them down, and use that later on as, something that you could write about. There are going to be little setbacks in life in general, but even here. But if you just make a note of them and, write down how you felt and how you overcame it, what you did to move forward, what you learned from it, because we tend to remember the negative things and maybe not so much the positive things. And, that the news likes to portray the negative rather than the positive, but just, a lot of things go on and you don't want to forget them, because those little things kind of shape who you are today, and it shapes, where you end up with your education here. So definitely, it could help to keep a diary if you're not doing that, or just keep notes, just so you could remember these, even little things that contributed to where you are when you get to the point where you can apply for the scholarship. All right, we have quite a bit of time, but does anybody else have any questions? I'll let it sit for a minute before we end the session today. Also, the session will be recorded. Once I render it, I'll try to get it up within by next week. And so you're welcome to share this with anyone who wasn't able to attend today, but it will be available on the scholarship website. All righty, well, I won't keep you all any longer, but thank you all for joining us today. Bernice and Tyra, I so appreciate you being here. The information that you brought is so valuable to our students, and I know a few of them will be reaching out to you as well, but I really appreciate you taking the time to share with everyone today. Everyone else, hopefully I will see or hear from you soon at some point. Again, I am in the scholarship and financial aid office. Make sure you are still filling out your financial aid applications if you haven't already. There are many other scholarship opportunities that you could also be eligible for, and we want to make sure that you take advantage of those opportunities. So reach out to me if you have any questions at all. And with that, I will say have a good rest of your day and good luck with those applications.
Thank you so much for having us, Beverly, and thank you to everyone who attended.
Good luck, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day, guys.
Bye.
You too.